Speciation. Speciation is the formation of a new plant or animal species. When there is a very large population, and from that large population, very few organisms develop certain of the same species, of course, develop certain unique character that separate them from the parent population. Then this new population of the same species that has unique character, they develop reproductive isolation also. Thus the new species of organism is formed from the parent species. So this entire is the parent species, and this one is the new species. This is how new species or speciation occurs. Hello friends, I am Dr. Antika Das, and in this video I am going to discuss about a CSI and NET question which is also in the MSc syllabus about speciation. So let's begin the video. So this is the NET question that I was talking about, and here we have we are having 4 options. That is, we are going to have correct. We are going to mark the correct answer. So here we get that there is allopatric speciation, parapatric speciation, sympatric speciation. So in order to answer this question, we have to know what are these type of speciation, what are the 4 types of speciation. So in the next slide I am going to discuss the type of speciation and then come back to this question. So here in this diagram we see that there is an original population and there are 4 different factors that causes speciation, and as the pressure in each case is different, so they develop 4 type of speciation, and we will be discussing this in very brief so that we can just answer the question. A detailed video of each of these type of question will be made later. So let's come to the first diagram, where we see that this is a species and there is having a barrier. This barrier can be geographical barrier. For example, the continental plates. We know that in our earth it has got continental and oceanic plate. So if there is due to the movement in the tectonic movement, the plates they get separated or they get close to each other, then either they can form a mountain, or they can if they get separated, maybe they get separated by the sea. So in this case, the water or mountain, there is a barrier. So once the initial population, this is the initial population, it is getting separated by a physical barrier. So the conditions, the ecological niche in this part of the population is different from this part of the population. So as because they have a different ecological niche, so they develop special unique characters that is suitable for living in that niche. Also, due to this barrier, there is no flow of genetic information, there is no reproduction in between these two population, there is no reproduction. So then each of these species, each of this area, this population, they develop into a new species. When there is a barrier and new speciation is formed due to lack of genetic interaction or lack of reproduction, then this type of speciation is called allopatric speciation. So allopatric speciation, one of the chief requisite is the presence of geographical barrier that hinders in the process of interbreeding. So, for example, there is one very good example. Say, when the Grand Canyon was formed in Arizona, so there was actually a rift was created And during this formation, the species that was present in this side and the species that were present in this side, they had to cross this barrier in order to reproduce. Those birds and other animals that can easily fly, especially birds, they can fly, so they did not develop any reproductive isolation. But for small animals, say for example very small rodents, like squirrels, rats, and very small mammals like this, they could not cross this huge amount of area, so they developed reproductive isolation. And as a result of this reproductive isolation, we have two species of rodents or two species of small mammals on the left and the right side of the canyon. So, this is a very good example how a barrier can create speciation. So, this is the allopatric type of speciation. Then we come to peripatric speciation. Actually, peripatric speciation is considered to be a subclass of this allopatric speciation. But there is a certain bit of difference. Here, we see in the allopatric speciation what happened. The population, it was divided into more or less equal amount, that is population on the left was almost similar to the population size in the right. But in peripatric speciation, we see that the population size, the parent population size is much larger than the population size of the new niche. Here what happened, the population from the parent population, a little bit of a few individuals, they moved from the parent niche to a new niche, the small area. Though they can easily commute from the parent niche to the new niche, back and forth movement can be done, but they prefer not to move back. So this few individuals, they started to live in this small niche, and this small niche and few group of individuals, they started developing new characteristic, because the ecological condition in this parent niche, it is a bit different from the ecological condition that is present here in this small area. So, in order to fit in the niche, they had a change in the genetic frequencies of its allele. We know that for any particular characteristic, every gene has got several alleles. For example, the if there is, say for example, A is the gene for beak size and shape, and there is many allele. For example, A1 that determines the size of the beak. A2 that determines A1 determines the long size of beak, and A2 determines the very short size. Then A3 determines the intermediate size of beak. And so in this type, there is three allele for three different size of beak. So if say for example, if we are having in any new area where there is not much vegetation, for example this area, small area here. So this small area has got not much vegetation, only cactuses. So any finch that is going to that area will develop very long beak, that is A1. So this small area will have A1, and those I'm drawing it here. So the small area will have this A1 type of beak. And whereas the original population, they have both cactus as well as the different nut bearing plants, and also plants that has abundance of animals. So they the finches that are present here can have a1, that is long beak for the cactus, or a2, that is the blunt intermediate type of beak for the for catching the insects and all. And it can also have a3, very short beak, a3, very short beak, just to peck on the nuts and all. So in the parent population we are having a wide range of niche, so there is a wide range of alleles that is expressed. But in the new niche, there is only a particular type of plant. So only there, from the shift from the allele expression, that is from a1, a2, a3, there is a shift of only to a1. So this altered genetic frequency caused speciation, and though they can still interbreed, but they prefer not to interbreed, and then we find this peripatric type of speciation. So we see that they have an isolated their niche according to the change in frequency of their alleles. And this change in frequency of the alleles, this is called genetic drift, and due to this we find this peripatric speciation, and due to the isolation we find this allopatric speciation. Now we come to parapatric speciation. Here also we see that this original population, I am drawing it here. So a parapatric speciation occur when, say for example, any organism that has got a wide range of ecological niche, they have a very big size of ecological niche during suitable condition of temperature and water availability. But if there is a drought, then this niche will contract, and it will be left with very fragmented niche. The entire, so we see that during the favorable condition, there was a huge amount of range for these animals. But now as the conditions are becoming not very conducive, so only they have very small amount of niche, specified niche. So these small specified areas, they have got a specific ecological characteristic, and in order to fit in this characteristic niche, there is again a genetic drift, that is alternation in the frequency of certain alleles in order to fit in these particular micro ecosystems. So in order to fix in this micro habitats, there is a genetic drift, and this genetic drift, due to this genetic drift, new species is formed. Very good example can be that in this area, this entire area, this is for example of area where we have woodland in this part of the in this part of the area we have woodland, and in the rest part of the area, that is in this part, we have human habitation as well as industry. So as a result, this soil is polluted in this part of this habitat. So any organism that is living here, I'm drawing it in yellow, not in green, then you'll easily understand. So any organism that is there, so say for example any plant growing here in this area which has got urban settlement as well as mines as well as industries, the soil will be polluted, with various acidic precipitates, polluted with heavy metals. So a plant that is growing here will be very tolerant to heavy metal. They can be tolerant to heavy metal, they can be tolerant to acid as well. So they develop certain characteristic. There is a shift in the genetic frequency, and there is, due to this unique characteristic, this sub habitat is different from this species living in this habitat. So we see that once there was a single parent species, but now as a result of retraction of the habitat into various small micro habitat, fragmentation of a large habitat into very small and micro habitat, there is a very specific condition in each habitat, and due to this specific condition, organism adapting to that specific condition, they develop special characteristic and also reproductive isolation. So there is no barrier, there is no migration, but there is just fragmentation of a large habitat into very small micro habitat, as a result of which new species are formed. Here we see that there is no barrier, but still they are living in adjacent area, but still there is reproductive isolation. And in sympatric type of speciation, there is no barrier, no contraction, but speciation occur. Here we see speciation occur. Now this type of speciation occurred due to separation of habitat depending upon food or shelter. A very good example can be the apple maggot as well as hawthorn maggot that was shown in the very early slide, the first slide of this video, where we see that two type of maggots or flies were there, and one was the female, they oviposited in the apple, another oviposited in the hawthorn. So this is the apple maggot, and this is the hawthorn maggot. So this two species, they existed in the same area. Earlier there were only hawthorn maggot, but later due to introduction of apple, this type of maggot also started infesting apples. Now gradually what happened, though there is no barrier, but and also they are growing in the same climatic condition, but this the two type of maggots, the two species were formed because this apple maggot and this hawthorn maggot, both they developed different phenology, different phenological cycle, which means that apple maggot, they develop and become sexually mature at a much different time from that of the hawthorn maggot. So as because they emerge from the ground at different time, they have a different sexual maturity period, so they do not as reproduce, they do not they have developed reproductive isolation even when they are in the same environment, no barrier, same climatic condition, no extra
Hope we can now
pressure,
this question.
selective pressure.
So let's
but
see
just
which one of the
they
following
have
statement is correct for the
food
process
source
of speciation.
So they have
So
altered
we have
their
seen that
phenological
there are four
process
process
of speciation.
So this
That
type
is
of
mainly
speciation
due to
where there
first
is
is
no
a reproductive
barrier,
isolation.
they are called
Then we
sympatric
can see
speciation.
the reproductive isolation due to a barrier. Then we saw that there was reproductive isolation due to microhabitat, that is natural selection in the habitat. Then there was a genetic drift due to the peripatric speciation. Then we see that sympatric speciation. So all the four type of speciations we have discussed. Now let us answer this. So the number we have to just pick out a correct answer. So allopatric speciation, it occurred between adjacent population. It is false, because we know that in case of an allopatric speciation, there was a barrier. So these are not adjacent population because there is a barrier. So number 1 option is wrong. Then we see that the parapatric speciation occurred between geographically separation. This geographical separation, it occurs in allopatric speciation, but in parapatric speciation there is no barrier. Just one population, they move to a peripheral surrounding habitat. There is no barrier. Actually, they can travel back and forth from the parent habitat to the new habitat. So there is no barrier in the parapatric speciation. So there is no geographical barrier. So second answer is also wrong. So the second option is also wrong. Now the third option, sympatric speciation that occur with one continuously distributed population. In sympatric speciation, we have seen that is the hawthorn and the apple maggot. They have a same habitat, but one is feeding on apple and one is feeding on hawthorn. So their continuously distribution is continuous, but as the food source is different, they have altered their phenological cycle, which has led to reproductive isolation. So the third option is true. Now the fourth option. So sympatric speciation, that is this one, sympatric speciation, it occur in a continuously when the continuously distributed population is fragmented. So what they are saying here is that when there is a continuous population and gradually this population, it becomes fragmented into many small populations, subpopulations. So this type of speciation, we know that this type of speciation, it is called parapatric, that is parapatric speciation. So this is not sympatric speciation. So the fourth option is also wrong. So the only answer, that is right answer, is the option number 3, this one. So this was about the CSIR question that I talked about. I'll also make videos regarding each of the type of speciation in detail, and if I actually make videos about the BSc and MSc syllabus, also CSI and NET syllabus. And if you want me to solve any question, to write it in the comment section. If you want me to discuss any topic, also to write in the comment section. If you like this video, please share it with your friends so that it gets maximum view. And also do subscribe, because your subscription, it means a lot to me, and also you will be able to easily get to know about the latest video that I make. And I have been making videos about algae, fungi, about bryophytes, pteridophytes, lichens, and you can go to my channel and watch those videos also. Those videos are based on BSc and MSc syllabuses. And please do subscribe to my channel. Thanks again for watching this video.